Hi there, it's Connie. I'm the owner of Buy Without Agents. And if you have ever wondered whether or not you could buy your own home without an agent, then you're in the right place. In this video, I have pulled together some of the most important steps from my experience as a real estate investor, a mortgage professional, notary signing agent, and a housing counselor to help you feel more confident every step of the way. We'll cover things like how to research the market, what real estate contracts are, and how to negotiate, all without relying on a real estate agent. As you're watching these videos, if any questions come up, be sure and comment down below. So grab a notebook or your favorite note-taking app. This is your home buying masterclass. So let's get started. Are you ready to take control of buying one of your biggest investments? Well, let me tell you, you don't need a travel agent to book your next vacation. And you don't need a realtor to buy your next home. With the right mindset and the proper tools, you can do it all by yourself. And all it takes is a shift in your mindset. It is actually a lot easier than you think. And I am here to help you every step of the way. First things first, you do need to feel confident in your ability to make this happen. You know, home buying is all about planning, preparing, having the right tools. And think about it. If you were planning a vacation, would you just hop on a plane and go someplace? No. You would actually plan the hotel, the airlines, what you're going to do. Well, the same thing is what you would do if you're buying a home. You've got to plan for where the home is going to be. You've got to understand what the market is like. You need to know how to negotiate. And you really don't need somebody that's going to make those decisions for you. You can be in control and handle this entire process by yourself. Now, it's not like you're going to be doing this all by yourself. You know, there are so many tools available that'll help you navigate this entire process. Tools like online searches, and there's legal document preparation assistance for you, as well as my videos. You can watch my videos for the step-by-step process on how you can buy your own home. So you're not totally alone. And by watching this video, kind of lets me know that you're really kind of thinking about it and you're actually more confident than what you think. So think about it. When was the last time you actually used a travel agent? A travel agent that would book your hotel, book your flight, book your activities. Times have changed. Your mindset needs to change. Buying your own home needs to change. And with a little bit of research, you will be a real estate expert in no time. So what's the bottom line? You have the power to buy your own home on your own. And with the right mindset and a little bit of confidence and the tools necessary, then you can buy your own home on your own without using a realtor. And today I'm going to be talking about common real estate terms that a lot of the agents and mortgage brokers will just throw around that you may not have any idea what in the world they mean. Additionally, I'm going to make sure that you understand these terms so that you don't have to rely on an agent to explain some of these things to you and keep that commission in your own pocket. Did you know that 87% of people buy a home using a realtor? And that leaves 13% of buyers that buy on their own. And here's why that matters. Buyers that buy a home without a realtor, save on average of $15,000 just in the commission fees. And today I am going to help you become part of that elite 13% so that you are more informed with these particular real estate terms and keep that commission in your pocket. First, let's talk about a term that you will see on most property listings, and that's DOM, or days on market. And that shows how long a property has actually been on the market. And why that's important is because if a property has been on the market for a long period of time, that means that you may be able to get a much better deal and negotiate for perhaps a lower price or better terms. Next are contingencies. And contingencies are clauses that you put in a contract that actually protect you as you're going through this process. Common ones are financing, home inspections, and appraisals. Having these contingencies gives you an out so that you don't lose your earnest money if, say, the appraisal doesn't come back high enough, or the home inspection, there are too many repairs in the home inspections. So it is a protection for you to have in your contract. Next, I want to talk about earnest money. And it surprises me that there are a lot of people that don't understand what exactly earnest money is. And simply put, earnest money is the money that you're going to put down to show the seller that you are interested in buying this home. You have a vested interest in this home. Now, as I mentioned before, if those contingencies that are in your contract aren't met, then you do get your earnest money back. But if everything works out good with the contingencies, then that earnest money goes towards your closing cost. Understanding the role that earnest money plays gives you confidence in how you're going to present that offer to the seller. Finally, I want to talk about title and escrow. And you will see title and escrow fees show up on your closing cost. And you may not have a clue what in the world you're paying for. Now, I want to start with escrow first. And escrow is a neutral third party that handles all of the transaction. They will handle the signing of the loan documents. They will handle the money, the earnest money, and they will safeguard it and make sure that when it comes time to close, that all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and that your closing goes smoothly. But they have no vested interest in your transaction other than to make sure that everything is complete and that this transaction closed smoothly. Now, title insurance is different. Title and title insurance means that it is insurance protecting you, making sure that after you close on your loan, that there isn't somebody trying to claim ownership to the home that you just bought, or they're trying to sue you after the loan has been closed. Now, that was your crash course on specific real estate terms that you need to familiarize yourself with as you're going through this home buying journey all on your own. Remember, understanding these terms help you feel a little bit more confident and keeps that commission in your pocket. Today, we're going to map out your home buying plan step by step. It's everything you do with a traditional agent, except this time you're the one that's in control. Let's walk through what buying on your own actually looks like. From first step to final signature, I want to walk you through a few steps. First is getting pre-approved. Second, touring homes. Third, Making a strong offer. 4. Navigating inspections, title, and escrow. 5. And finally, closing like you a boss. Are you ready? Okay, so let's build your roadmap. Step 1. Get pre-approved. Before you fall in love with the house, you need to know what you can afford. I have talked about this in my previous videos. This means talking to a lender, getting a pre-approval letter, not a pre-qualification letter. There is a difference. I explained that in one of my past videos as well. A good lender will review your income, credit, debts, and give you a written amount you're actually approved for. And this not only helps you shop for a home smarter, it makes your offer stronger when the time comes to make one. And here's a pro tip. You can do this with any lender you choose. You don't need an agent to connect you with their lender. And if you don't know where to start, I cover lender questions to ask in my course. Step 2, house hunting. Now this is where the fun begins, because here's the thing. Without an agent feeding you those multiple listing service listings, you need to take the initiative. So what you're going to do is you're going to go on Zillow, on Redfin. You're going to check a lot of the for sale by owner sites. And here is a little out of the box tip. You know, I'm always looking for ideas that are out of the box on ways people can find homes. And don't forget yard sale signs, where people are moving and not just a garage sale. You'd be surprised if you go to those sales and ask them about buying their home, and right then and there as they're having a sale, you can actually tour the property. I know, it's a little out of the box, but hey, so is buying a home without an agent. So, also, one other thing is word of mouth. Also, as you are touring the homes, please don't rely on your memory. Bring a checklist with you. And of course, you can find that checklist on my website. Some things that you want to compare as you're touring the homes are anything structurally wrong with the home. What are the neighborhood vibes like? And does the home need to be repaired? Also, remember your deal breakers versus your nice to haves. On my website, I do have a free open house tour checklist that you can take along with you as you are touring homes. Step 3, make an offer. If you found the house that you absolutely love, it's time to make that offer. And this is where most buyers really stress out. But don't worry, because I've got you. Your offer should include your price, based on your research on homes that have sold in the area, your financing details, whether it's FHA, VA, or conventional, any requested seller's concession, like closing cost, and your contingencies, inspection, appraisal, financing. You're going to submit this directly to the seller, or if they have an agent. Okay, moving on to step 4. Escrow, inspections, and closings. Once your offer is accepted, boy, things move really, really fast. So what you're going to do is you're going to place your earnest money with an escrow officer, which is a neutral third party. Then you're going to find an inspector and schedule the inspection. Your lender will order the appraisal. Title search is then completed, which your lender will also order, and then you'll have final loan approval. Your job next is to read and respond to your inspection report, see if there's any renegotiation. You're going to communicate you're going to communicate clearly with your lender and title company, and you're going to stay on top of all of your deadlines, like removing contingencies or submitting any documents to your lender. Step 5, celebrate buying a home on your own. Once everything checks out, you'll sign closing documents, transfer funds, and you'll get your keys at closing. And the best part, you just did all of that without paying someone 2 to 3% of your purchase price. You know, that is actually money that stays in your pocket that can go towards updates to your new home or furniture, or start your emergency fund. So, breathe, celebrate, and give yourself a huge pat on your back because you just bought a home your way. Today, we're going to be talking about how you're going to research the market to find that perfect home without using a realtor. Today, I'm going to cover where to find reliable information, what are the key factors to look for, and then what to do with that data that you have and where to put it. First, I want to talk about reliable information and where to go to get and do your research for the homes that you're trying to buy, and also the market that you're trying to buy in. And believe it or not, I know people have poo-pooed Zillow, but Zillow actually has some really good information. So check online at Zillow, and instead of just looking at the property, actually take a look at the listing. If you scroll down a little bit further in a Zillow listing, you will also see price comparison, or you will find out neighborhood information, or if a person has listed their home, it will also show the history of the listing, and the price that they started at, and whether or not they dropped it or they raised it, or how long it's been listed. So Zillow is actually a pretty good place to start. Another place is realtor.com. Realtor.com has good information on their site in addition to market trends. And you need to understand about market trends because you have to understand what's going on in the real estate market. Is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? Is the market flat? That will aid you in your negotiations, also in pricing when you talk to your mortgage broker about interest rates. So understanding the market trends is very important. Another place you could take a look at, I know, and this is, kind of an off-the-wall place, but your local county tax assessor. I tell you, I have gained so much information from my tax assessor. They are extremely helpful, and at least where I live, it's online. So you can do a lot of the research online at your local county tax assessor. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you the tax history of the area as well as perhaps a property that you're looking at. So you can find out the taxes, you can find out the owner, you can see who the neighbors are, possibly, depending on the county that you live in. But that's also a really good source for information. Another good source, and don't laugh, is, I know it's crazy, but I've used it. It's Google Maps. Google Maps is great for taking a look at a particular neighborhood or an area. And what you want to do with the Google Maps, instead of just looking at it with the normal default view, you want to switch it to satellite view. And what that does, it shows you industrial buildings, it shows you parks, it shows you schools and shopping. So you can do your research that way to see a good neighborhood and whether or not there is shopping that is nearby, or if there is a police department or a hospital, someplace based on what you're looking for, it will show you the neighborhood. Google Maps has been a lifesaver for me, and I think it could be for you. There is another paid service is called Neighborhood Scout, and that will talk about the crime that is in the neighborhood as well as the schools. I know that there are other services that perhaps are free that you can get that research from, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on in the video too. But Neighborhood Scout is an option in order to do your market research. Okay, now we're going to talk about some of the key factors to look for as you're doing market research. So on Zillow and realtor.com, the things that you want to look for are the trends. And I think that on realtor.com, there's actually a section that you can search for market trends. And you want to know if prices are going up, or if prices are falling, or if prices just aren't moving at all, or if there isn't enough inventory, or how many sales have occurred in that particular neighborhood. So those two sources are really good to understand about trends. Also, you want to check those sites for comparable sales, or comps is what they call them. And if you're looking for like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, you want to find comparables for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, but you want to do it in the neighborhood that you're looking at. So if you cannot, and also that's something that an appraiser is going to do as well, is that they're going to find the comparables to the home that you're interested in to see what the prices are going to be. So you're going to be doing that research ahead of time so that you know what offer to make on the home with the seller. So realtor.com as well as Zillow and also Redfin. Redfin will also help you with those comparables in the area that you want to find your home. Another key factor is neighborhood information. Research the neighborhood that you're looking at living in. Find out what the crime is. An app that really helped me was Nextdoor. And it's an app that you can get on your phone as well as it's online as well. So, but they also have crime statistics. You can kind of hear what people are talking about in various neighborhoods. You can sign up for various neighborhoods just to get a feel, and then ask the questions on that app to neighbors and ask them what their thought is with the crime in the area. Let them know that you're thinking about this neighborhood and ask for feedback. They would be more than happy, believe me, to give it to you. So Nextdoor is a great place to do your research, as well as that Neighborhood Scout that I had mentioned before, but again, that's a paid subscription. One more key factor is the property history. And as I mentioned before, Zillow is a great place to look at the property history because it showed you when the property was actually listed and if the price was reduced or if they raised it. And sometimes when the price decreases, you might want to not really question, but just kind of keep it in your mind. Okay, perhaps it was overpriced to begin with, and that's why they keep reducing the price. What that should say to you is that perhaps they would be open to negotiations for a little lesser amount because perhaps it was overpriced to begin with. So just something to think about. The last two factors I want to talk about are the local economic factor and future development. And by that I mean when you're looking and researching the market for homes, you want to see if are there businesses that are growing, any new developments that are going on, anything that could affect your property value if you were to buy in that neighborhood. So in doing your research, you have got to consider all of those factors in terms of where you want to live and where you want to buy your next home. Okay, so let's start talking about making sense of the data. So after you have done all of this research, and let's say in researching realtor.com and Zillow and Redfin and a few of the other places to look for a home. Let's say you found a couple of homes in nice neighborhoods. How are you going to keep track of it all? I would highly recommend a spreadsheet. I know there's probably apps out there, but let's just go simple. Let's do real basic. Just a spreadsheet. And this spreadsheet should have columns for the price, the square footage, the comparables that you have found in doing your research, any other factors that might be important to you, like the schools or shopping, or if there's a hospital nearby. Put all of that in a spreadsheet form so you can look at it. I tell you, having things out in the ether, it doesn't help at all. Things get too jumbled up. And so having it black and white and in front of you, you can actually take a look at it and compare the properties based on your research. Now, I know some of you may not want to do that. So I have made it easy. And if you will check out the description, and there is a link to an Excel spreadsheet that already has a lot of the information on it, and you can add to it or you can take away, but at least it gives you a base of a place to start when you're trying to compare the properties that you've been looking at. Check the link in my description. Another thing in making sense of the data is, after you have filled out the spreadsheet and you've looked at homes, then why not get out and go visit the neighborhood of the home that you're looking at? Check out and really see, because if on Google Maps it could look all pristine and wonderful, but then when you're down in the trenches, then you might see a very different story. So if there is a home that you're interested in, then go drive that neighborhood, drive the surrounding neighborhoods. You know, neighbors, and in talking to the neighbors as well, I'm going to suggest that too. They hear things and they may have lived there for a long time, and they may know information about new developments that are coming in, which could increase your property value, as well as just if there's any crime or there's some bad elements that are in the neighborhood, barking dogs or whatever. And also they'll know information about the schools. Don't be afraid to talk to neighbors. You would be surprised at how much information they will have for you. And they will be open, especially if you let them know that you're looking at the neighborhood and going to buy in the neighborhood. They might be very open about what is going on, which can affect your decision on whether or not you're going to buy in that neighborhood. And today we're going to be talking about negotiations. And I'm going to be sharing a few of my tips and tricks and ways that you can get over the anxiety of actually going into a negotiation with the seller or the listing agents. And please know that it's not all about price and getting the lowest price possible. It's about also looking at the terms that you can get in addition to the price. One of the biggest challenges that I had to overcome was getting emotionally attached to a home. And I have learned in my experience that there is always another home, a better home that is right around the corner. So in terms of negotiations, you never want to show your hand and let the seller or the listing agent know how much you want the house. You want to stay as neutral as possible. Never show your hand when it comes to negotiations. In my experience, I have contacted or talked to a lot of the buyers, and they have said, you know, Connie, this is my dream home, and I will do anything at all to get this home. And that is absolutely the wrong attitude to have. And pretty much that shows that you're inexperienced. And a lot of the buyers that deal with their emotions and deal with buying a home in that way, they oftentimes lose because they will just jump at the next opportunity that may not be the best one for them. I have a saying that, if the home doesn't work out, then it just wasn't meant to be. And you move on and you find another one. So now I want to talk about some of the techniques that I have used that may help you in your negotiations and things that you can practice as well. The first technique is silence. And I have used this technique often, and it works like a charm. Many people need to talk and always have to say something. But if you sit back and you're silent, there is power in your silence. And you would be surprised that people actually reveal a heck of a lot more than the questions that you would ask to begin with. So just being silent and letting the other side talk can save you thousands of dollars. And remember that a part of negotiation isn't always about price. There are other things that can be negotiated, like closing cost or repairs or furniture, items that you want left in a home. So don't always just focus on price. So let's talk about a couple of the other strategies that I have used. The very first one is that you have got to know the market. Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? What are homes going for based on the ones that you're looking at? The 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-bedroom, 1-bath. How much are they going for? So understanding what the market is and what homes are selling for is going to help you in your negotiation. In addition, you have got to ask the right questions. Ask that seller, why are you selling? You got to find out their motivation for selling so that you can put together a good offer that is going to benefit the seller and, of course, benefit yourself. But you can't do that unless you ask those pertinent questions. You've got to be able to understand that seller's motivation, because guess what? If the seller wants to close quickly, you can possibly leverage that to your benefit. And here's another powerful tool, and I have absolutely used this to my advantage, and that is building a good rapport with the listing agent and or the seller. If that seller trusts you, or if the listing agent trusts you, then both are more receptive to your offer as well as negotiating. So building that rapport and building that trust is key to the negotiation process. So definitely keep that in mind. Get them to like you. Okay, now another technique that I have used, and it's very similar to staying silent, but it is the power of pause. So in my negotiations with sellers, we would be discussing the home, we'd be discussing the terms, and the seller may say something, and I will kind of question it. And they may say, well, okay, so the price of the house is going to be $350,000. And so instead of saying, being surprised, 350,000, I would just pause for a moment. And I would say, 350. Okay, let me think about that. And I would just pause. And again, it's that silence and the pause. And the seller will typically, it's kind of human nature that they will just, especially if you're pausing for a long period of time, they will just jump right in and they'll start talking. And when they start talking, you are building a case for your offer. and you're understanding the negotiation process. So the seller may come, or in this particular instance, the seller came back, and as I never responded to that $350,000 offer. And he says, well, maybe, maybe we can go 295. And I knew I had him. I know, and that's so bad to say, but I knew I had him. But I paused again. And when I paused again, I just wanted to see if he was going to go lower. And so I am just telling you, the power of the pause is powerful. So the first rule in real estate that I learned is that the first one that names price loses. So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind as well. So to sum it all up, stay calm and confident. Keep your emotions in check. Remember the power of silence and pause. And remember that it's not always about price. Think about the terms, closing cost, those other items that can all go into negotiation. And I hope that my experience has also given you food for thought on how best to negotiate for your next home. One of the biggest questions I get from buyers is, how do I even write an offer? It can feel a bit overwhelming at first, but once you understand the key parts that go into an offer, it's actually more easier than you think. So today I'm going to quickly walk you through how to write an offer that's clear, professional, and it protects you every step of the way. Most buyers, especially first-timers, either they just wing it or they have just some template that's given to them from a realtor, and then they hand it back to their realtor. But not you. You're here because you want to take control, and I'm going to show you exactly that without all the questions. So key point number 1, use strong, clear terms. First, your offer needs to make a strong first impression. That doesn't mean it's flashy or aggressive. It just means that it's clear and confident. And that's what I teach in my course. But moving on. You want to be upfront about things like your preferred closing date, whether you are pre-approved, and if you're flexible with timing or you have a very solid down payment. These details show the seller that you're really serious and prepared with very low drama. Also, a short, thoughtful offer letter can go a long way. You want to keep it very friendly and professional, like you're introducing yourself. That leads me to point number 2. Protect yourself with contingencies. If you don't know what a contingency is, head over to my website and look on my real estate glossary. These are the clauses that let you back out if something really major comes up. The 3 big ones are inspection contingency. It gives you a chance to check for repairs before committing. The next one is financing contingency. Protects you if your loan doesn't come through or if your lender is unable to approve you. Appraisal contingency. And this helps if the home is valued lower than what you have offered. Now, I know it is tempting to waive these and just get the deal, but unless you fully understand the risk, please don't do it. These clauses are here to protect you, which also leads me to point number 3. Stay calm and detached. I cannot stress this enough. And real talk, falling in love with a house too soon can cloud your judgment. So please Try to stay focused on your goals, not your emotions. I talk about this in other videos. This isn't about getting the house at all cost. It's about making a smart decision that's going to fit your life and your budget. When you present your offer calmly and clearly, you come across as someone who knows what they're doing, which gives you way more leverage. We're talking about home inspections, what they are and why it is so important for you to have a home inspection done on your home. So let's start with the basics. Why is it so important for you to have a home inspection? I tell you, I think I've mentioned it in my other videos, home inspections can save you money in the long term. What a home inspector will do is they will come out, they will take a look at your property, and they will take it from the top of the roof all the way down to the foundation. They will double check to make sure that the roof doesn't have any leaks. There aren't any cracks in your foundation. They will check the electrical, the plumbing, and make sure that everything is in good working order. So a home inspection is a report that gives you basically the condition of the home that you're about to buy. Now, some of you may be thinking, is that why do I need a home inspection when I'm going to get an appraisal? And what's the difference between the two? Well, an appraisal actually gives you the value of your home, and that is what the lender needs in order to loan you the money on your home. A home inspection protects you, because this is going to be, again, the home that you're going to be buying, and you need to make sure that everything is working so that as soon as you move into the home, that a faucet doesn't leak, or there's a hole or a leak in the roof, or perhaps the foundation is off and it's cracking. So that's what a home inspection will do for you, and that's why it's so important to have one done, as well as the difference between the two. The appraisal is for the lender, home inspection is for you. So let's say that a home inspector has gone through your entire home and perhaps they found some problems. Well, hopefully in your offer, you have added a contingency, whereas if something comes back from the home inspection, that you will be able to either go back and negotiate those repairs or not go through with the deal with the seller. So let's just say if the home inspector did come back and they found problems, then number one, you need to go back to the seller, let them know the problems, and ask for either you can negotiate to have them pay for the repairs, or you can do the repairs, but then that seller may need to lower the price. And again, that's all about negotiating after that a home inspection is done. Additionally, if you have a seller that says, you know what, no, I am not going to do any repairs, you take the home as is, then as long as you, again, have that contingency in your offer, yes, then you can just walk away from the deal. And if there is any earnest money that you have given to escrow, you get that back. So that's why home inspection is so important to do. It protects you. In conclusion, having a home inspection done just lets you know that you have made the right decision in purchasing this particular home, that there aren't going to be any issues once you move into that home. Today, I realized that if you're buying a home on your own, that you probably have never gone through the actual home inspection process. That's typically something that a realtor would do. I thought that I would put together a video that gives you a checklist of what you will need to look for as you're with that home inspector going through your home. Now, I know that this whole process could be very overwhelming, but let's just take it room by room. So we are going to start with the exterior of the home. You want to check your foundation or make sure that your home inspector is checking the foundation for any cracks or any place where there isn't the proper drainage around the house. Also look to see if if it's a brick home, if there are any bricks missing, or if the siding is cracked on the home, or if there is perhaps even some paint that's chipping or peeling away. And don't forget to look on the roof. Step away from the house and notice certain things about the roof. Do you notice that maybe there is a buckle in the roof? Maybe some shingles are missing. Or if there are tiles that are on top of the house, perhaps that are missing. Now, granted, the home inspector is going to check all of those things, but it's good that you also know about those things and what to look for too. Let's go inside of the house now. The home that you're buying has a basement or an attic. You want to check both places, obviously, and your home inspector will do the same. In the basement, check for any signs of moisture. Walk all around the basement to see if there are any leaks. Feel the walls, look at the flooring just to see if, I don't know, maybe the seller may have covered something up, but do your inspection as well. When you go to the attic, look for ventilation. Make sure that there is proper insulation and understand everything that I am telling you, the home inspector is going to do, but you just need to keep this in the back of your mind as things that the home inspector is supposed to address. You also want to make sure that that attic doesn't have any leak. When you went outside to look at the roof and maybe there was buckling, or if the roof line just wasn't even, in the attic, you can actually see if perhaps there's a leak. You could check for a leak. Just kind of keep that in the back of your mind as the home inspector is doing what they're supposed to do. If they miss it, then you can always bring it up. But please don't act like you're a know-it-all, because the inspector really does know what they're doing. Okay, let's move on. Now let's go into the bathrooms and the kitchen. And in both places, plumbing is so important. So make sure that there is adequate water pressure. You turn on all the faucets, you flush the toilets, look underneath the sink, and granted, the home inspector is going to do it. I'm just going to say that. The home inspector is going to do all this, but these are things that you too can check out. Make sure that there isn't any leakage in any of the piping. Also, when you're in the kitchen, you want to make sure that all of the appliances work and that there aren't any leaks and that they're hooked up properly. So you can, I'm sure that the inspector will also do this, turn on the stove, turn on all of the faucets, check the refrigerator, look at the washer and dryer. Make sure all of those things that's in your offer that is going to stay with the house, make sure that they're in good working order. So just something for you to double check. You also want to check the walls and the ceilings. Make sure that there aren't any watermarks in the ceilings. Make sure that the walls, that there aren't any holes in the walls. Sometimes when you open up a door and somebody just, opens the door a little bit too hard, then it might leave one of those marks from the doorknob. So again, that is something cosmetic, but if it's really deep, that may be something that the owner needs to repair with some drywall. And the last thing is the electrical, heating and cooling, or the HVAC, and again, the plumbing. Make sure that the heating And if you have air conditioning, you want to make sure that that works as well. Your home inspector, as well as the appraiser, should be able to tell you how old the system is. Based on the age of the system, you may want to decide whether or not you need to replace it, or get the advice of the appraiser or the home inspector to see what is the average length of time that the heating and cooling system should last. I know this was a lot of information. Your home inspector is going to know exactly what to do. But what this does by knowing this information, it gives you the confidence that when you're even asking a question of the home inspector, that you know what you're talking about. So having that additional information just makes you more informed and knowledgeable when it comes to the entire process of having a home inspection done. Today we're going to be talking about the legal aspects of buying a home on your own, and not so much the aspects. I'm going to be talking about some of the legal documents that you're going to be coming across when you buy your own home. And please know, I am not an attorney. I don't want any comments down below saying, oh my God, who are you to give legal advice? I am not giving legal advice. So I am just informing you of the legal documents that perhaps you can take to an attorney or a paralegal for additional information. So if that's okay with you, then let's get started. So the very first legal document, the purchase and sale agreement. And that is a legal document because you are telling the seller of that home that you have every intention of buying that home. And because you do that, you are going to actually put down earnest money that is going to let the seller know in earnest you're planning to purchase this home. So that's the first legal document. And if you have any questions about that purchase and sale agreement, then that is something that you can speak to a paralegal or a real estate attorney about. Now, the next legal documents that you're going to come up against is the mortgage documents. And I'm not talking about the application or the disclosures that you will need to sign with your mortgage broker. No, these I'm talking about is the deed of trust, the mortgage or the promissory note, as well as loan estimates and also the closing disclosure. So the actual deed of trust or trust deed is a document that is going to be recorded, and that is going to show who is the owner of the property, which will be you when you close on the transaction. Now, also a part of the mortgage documents that you're going to need to sign at closing is the promissory note. And that promissory note is your promising to pay the actual loan that the lender is giving you on your home. And what's included on that promissory note is how much you're borrowing, as well as the interest rate, the term, your monthly payments, and when your note becomes due. So that promissory note is going to be a part of your closing package when you go to close your home. So just so that you're aware that you're going to have that legal document as a part of your package. Now, prior to getting to all of the actual closing documents, your mortgage broker is going to be giving you a loan estimate. And that loan estimate is going to show all of the cost that you're going to have to pay in order to close the loan. In addition, it's going to show you your monthly payment, how much down payment, and all of the fees and your term and what kind of loan that you're getting as well. So that's something that you will get prior to closing. Now, you're also going to get a closing disclosure, and that's the document that is going to give you your final numbers when you get ready to close. That closing disclosure must be very accurate, because that's what you're going to go off of, as well as the escrow officer. That's what they're going to go off of when they close your loan. And in order to tell you how much money you need to bring to closing, that document is going to outline all of that information. So it'll have the final numbers of your title insurance, your escrow, it'll have your final mortgage payment with your final interest rate, and you're also the loan amount that you're going to be promising to pay. So the closing disclosure is another document, another legal document that you will receive just prior to closing. And with that closing disclosure, if you have any questions about anything at all, you have got to discuss that with your mortgage broker prior to even going to the closing table. Make sure you have all of your questions answered so that once you're at the table, you're ready to sign. The next legal document that's so important to know about is the title report. And that is a report that comes from the title company, and they will, as you have decided to, your offer has been accepted, you're going to buy this home, they are going to do a search on any other owners that have laid claim to this particular home, or if there are any taxes that are due, or if there are any liens that are against this property. So they will send you, prior to closing, a copy of your title report, and it is so important for you to take a look at it. And please, if you have any questions, then you can give me a call. The first 10 minutes are free, just to kind of discuss what's in this title report, because I will be able to help you. But it should tell you how much your taxes are on a yearly basis and who the actual owner is. Make sure that you're buying the home from the actual owner of the property. So a title report is so important to receive and to understand what it is and what you're looking at. Now, the next document, and this should have been a document that I started off with, is the seller's disclosure. And in my other videos, I've talked about a seller's disclosure and what that is, but I'll go over it briefly here. The seller's disclosure is a document where the seller will disclose everything that is right and wrong, to their knowledge, about the property. And this is, if you've seen my other videos, then you'll know that this is a document you should have received before you placed an offer on the house. So that seller's disclosure is so important to review because it's going to help you with your offer. Plus, it's going to help when you go to your home inspection as well, because based on what the seller has disclosed, that's something that you can also look for as you're going through the home inspection with your home inspector. So a seller's disclosure is another legal document that's very important to understand and to have in your possession. Okay, so now I need to wrap all of this up because I think I may have touched on most of the legal documents that you may come up against. And I want to reiterate again that I am not an attorney and I am not giving legal advice. But I do want to make you aware of the type of document. So when you go to closing, that's when you will sign the promissory note and sign the deed of trust, as well as all of the other lender documents that go along with your loan package. And if you have any questions at all about what it is you are signing, ask it at the closing. And hopefully your mortgage broker will be with you at the closing to answer any questions that you have as well. But please do not sign anything that you do not understand or that has not been explained to you, whereas you do have a good understanding of what it is you're signing. Today we're talking about title and escrow. I'm going to explain the roles of title and escrow in a home buying process. I'm going to explain what they are, why it's important, and also walk you through the steps. So let's get started. First, let's talk about what is title. And title is a legal document that shows the ownership of the property. So when you actually purchase the home, you then become the owner of that property, and you will show on a title report, and it will show on the title report that you are the actual owner. Also on a title report, it will show if there are any taxes due, or if there are any liens against the property. Title insurance is something that you will see on your closing cost. And it's important because it actually protects you as well as the lender from anybody that has any claims against the property that you're trying to buy, like if there is another owner, or if there are any unpaid liens or taxes, or if there's any fraud. So very important to pay for title insurance, and I'll talk a little bit later about title insurance and how that is paid. Now I want to talk about what is escrow. An escrow is a neutral third party that handles all of the funds from your down payment, the funds from the lender, and they make sure that all of the documents are in order to close your transaction. So an escrow officer will gather all of the information from the lender as well as from the seller in terms of what is owed. They will also take your down payment and hold it until it comes time to close your transaction. At the end of your transaction, then they will make sure that everything balances from your down payment to the closing cost, to how much money you need to bring to closing, to what the lender is expecting in order to fund and close your loan. So they are that party that will take care of everything, but they have no interest in your transaction. They are neutral. Now that you know what title and escrow is, I am going to break down how they fit in the home buying process. The first step in the title process is the title search. What the title company does is they will go through public records and they will search to make sure that the owner that you're buying the house from is actually the owner. What they also check for is if there are any other liens that need to be paid off, or if there's any unpaid taxes. Now, that is something that you don't have to deal with. That's something that the owner of the property needs to deal with. After they go through that search, if there are any issues with that title, the second step is to clear those issues. And I don't know what that process is or how long it takes, but whatever it takes for you to have a clear title before you buy that home is how long ever it takes. So what the title company will do is they will contact the owners. They will find out how to either pay off the liens that are against the property, or at closing, they may pay off any unpaid taxes or anything like that. They want to make sure that once you get that title report that you're going to pay for, that it is free and clear of any encumbrances or any liens that are against the property. As a final step to the title process, you'll need to purchase title insurance. And title insurance typically is part of your closing cost. Title insurance will protect you as the owner as well as the lender against any liens that may be recorded after you close the transaction. You will need to talk with your mortgage broker about the cost of that title insurance. Now I want to talk about the process of escrow. Once your offer has been accepted and the purchase and sale has been signed by both you and the seller, you're going to alert your mortgage broker and provide them with a copy of that purchase and sale. The mortgage person will do is that they will give the purchase and sale to the escrow office that is listed on that purchase and sale. Now, in negotiations, you can also decide if you want a different purchase or a different escrow office, or if it's okay to go with the sellers. In a typical real estate transaction, it is the sellers. That's how it always has been. It's the seller's decision or the realtor's decision on where escrow is going to be open. But if you are buying your home on your own, that is something that you can negotiate. Once your mortgage broker or the seller's agent opens up escrow, you will then need to either contact escrow, the escrow company, or they will contact you because you need to deposit your earnest money. And the earnest money is a good faith deposit stating to the seller that you are going to buy their home. So that money is also used towards your closing costs, and an escrow officer will put all of that together at the end of your transaction. Another step in the escrow process is that they will receive escrow instructions from your lender, through your mortgage broker, as well as from the seller. And what escrow does is they go through those instructions and they make sure everything is checked off so that you can close your loan smoothly. So they're going to make sure that all of the contingencies are met. They're going to make sure that the property inspection has been done, and they're going to make sure that all of the fees are accounted for towards the end of the transaction. And after they do all of that, then it comes down to closing. And again, they are that neutral third party. And what they're going to do is they're going to get information from the seller, they're going to get information from your lender, and they're going to make sure that all of the fees, all of the checks, and everything balances at the end of the transaction. So they will also let you know, as well as your mortgage broker should let you know, how much money you need to bring to closing in order to close this entire transaction. So your earnest money is used towards your transaction, and if there's any money that's left over, then you will need to bring a check, either a certified check or cashier's check, to closing to close out the entire transaction. In closing, I want to express the importance of title and escrow. They give you peace of mind, because they make sure that there aren't any liens against your property. They also make sure that the transaction closes as smoothly as possible. So they are a key element to this whole home buying process. I trust this gave you a clear idea of what to expect on your journey of buying your next home without an agent. If you're ready to take the next step, I do offer free templates, one for the offer letter and the other for scripts that you can use when you're speaking with the listing agent, the seller, or the escrow officer. Be sure and check those out on my website. And if you need more detail, my step-by-step course, Your Home, Your Way, How to Buy Without Agents, walks you through this entire process in greater detail. Let me know if you have any questions or ideas for future videos. Be sure and hit that like button, subscribe for more videos just like this, and thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.